Dr. Love dials you in every Friday at 11 a.m. The purpose of dialing you in to the 5 transformations. But every week we've got questions. So you can still ask Dr. Love. All you have to do is comment below. And at the end, we'll take your questions on IG, Facebook, and YouTube. We're also on podcast, which is Ask Dr. Love Podcast on Anchor.fm, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, you name there's 9 different podcast platforms we are on. So you can still ask your questions, but I'm dialing you in on a particular topic. So I wrote a poem, which right now the poem just popped out of my head. I was going to start with this poem, but I'm going to try to make it up as I go along. What you eat and what you think, what you breathe and what you drink, how you move and how you sleep is how you dance and heal. So today the topic is move and sleep. Now this is all under the umbrella of 5 transformations. What are we transforming? We're transforming the 5 internal organs. So you have 2 lungs and 2 kidneys. You've got a heart in the center, liver on the right, spleen on the left. So those are the 5 major organs. And all of the symptoms that you have for health and symptoms that you have for illness, symptoms that you have for mental, symptoms that you have for emotional, and symptoms that you have for spiritual can all be tracked back to one of those 5 organs, or one or more of those 5 organs. So today we're talking about move and sleep. Now, when you go to sleep, what happens? Where do you go when you go to sleep? Well, you are thank you. I can't see the board. My assistant is helping me so well. So I need you to move right now. So what happens when you go to sleep? Your heart rate slows down and your respiration rate slows down. And that increases your oxygen content. When you're breathing heavy, when you're breathing hard, when you're middle of the day and you're rushing and you're going and you're doing, you're depleting the oxygen content of your blood. So sleeping slows the heart, slows the respiration, relaxes the muscles, elongates the spine, and slows your brain down. So sleeping affects your brain. Wow. How awesome is that? So when you are stressed out, you're supposed to meditate. So what is the point of meditation? The point of meditation is to slow your heart, slow your breathing, slow the brain, relax the nervous system. So the exact same thing that you do at night when you go to sleep is what you do when you meditate. Now, there's 2 very important things that are not taken into consideration when people are doing active meditation. Number 1, posture is important. Number 2, visualization is important. And 3, breathing is important. So when you go to sleep, what's your sleep posture? Okay, are you what they call fetal position, or are you spread eagled? Are you on your side? Are you on your belly? All these things affect your brain. they affect your heart, and they affect your nervous system. So sleeping requires you to slow your breath. Now, when you go to sleep, there is a tissue repair mechanism. So what happens when you go to sleep? Oxygen is the catalyst for the tissue repair. So when the heart slows down, when the respiration slows down, the oxygen content is increased. And that sends out a message for the repair crew to show up, take out the damaged tissue, and create new tissue. The brain waves, when they slow down, that also allows the brain actually shrinks when you go to sleep. The brain shrinks, which means that the fluid around the brain increases. And that's when the neurotransmitters are most active. So between 1 and 3 a.m., your thyroid stimulating hormone, or your TSH, is being promoted by the liver. Now, what happens if you are active between 1 and 3 a.m.? What happens if you stay up till midnight or 1:30 or 2 o'clock watching YouTube videos or horror movies or watching the news? Oh my God, your brain activity increases instead of slowing down, and therefore the neurotransmitters cannot go in and repair the tissue. So now what happens when you wake up? Now, at the end of your sleep cycle, so you have physical rest, you have mental rest, and then you have nervous system rest. So when the brain wakes up and the body wakes up, then you go, and you want to stretch because everything has been dormant and still. So you stretch. So moving requires the lungs to kick in. Now, the interesting thing is, we said between 1 and 3, the energy's in the liver, and the liver is active with the tissue repair. Between 3 and 5 a.m., the lungs suddenly wake up. So when the lungs wake up, then what happens? The diaphragm pushes the air out of the lungs. And when the diaphragm pushes the air out of the lungs, what happens to the blood? The blood goes out. Okay? I said that backwards, forgive me. When you breathe in, the air fills the lungs and pushes the blood out. When you breathe out and the diaphragm pushes the air out, the blood goes in. So the more you breathe out, the more consciously that you breathe out using your diaphragm, then the more blood goes in to get oxygenated. Now, we know that the word Qi, Qi, is the basis of Chinese medicine. We know it's the basis of acupuncture, and we know it's the basis of Qigong. Qi literally means breath. So moving increases the flow and function of the lungs, and sleeping slows it down. So moving is the opposite of sleeping. Sleeping is stillness. Moving is activity. So one is yin, sleeping is yin, moving is yang. The lungs are the yang storage reservoir. That means as you move, you store yang energy in the lungs. Wow, nobody ever thought of that. As a martial artist, you don't think that your yang is in your lungs. You think your yang is in your muscles. As an acupuncture physician, you don't think of yang being in your lungs. You think of yang as being in your muscles. So what I'm teaching whoever's listening today, acupuncturists and martial artists don't know this. This is advanced teaching from my Qigong master, who also ran the Beijing Acupuncture College before the communists took him down and put him in prison for 8 years, where he was beaten and tortured every day for wanting to teach the truth of Qigong and Chinese medicine. And the minute he got released, he came to the United States. And I found out that there was a guy in Chinatown teaching Qigong. And I had read an article in a magazine about a woman who had a particularly virulent form of uterine cancer. And they sent her home to die. They said, there's nothing more we can do for you. And in cleaning up her house, she found some papers that her grandfather, some notes that her grandfather had made about doing a particular exercise. And her name was Guo Lin. And those exercises became known as the Guo Lin Qigong exercises. And once I read that magazine article, I wanted to learn Qigong. And that led me to Master Lee, who called himself Professor John Lee. He hated the name Master. He didn't want to be called anything other than Professor Lee. And we have an excusable, excuse me, we have a problem. So, okay, we're back. Our technical issue was magically solved. So Master Lee took me in as a student because I was a licensed acupuncture physician, and I already knew the understanding of the meridians. I already knew the understanding of how the energy flows. So unfortunately, we have a situation where acupuncturists don't know, martial artists don't know, that the yang is stored in the lungs, the yin is stored in the kidneys. The conception vessel stores the yin, the governing vessel stores the yang. The wrists store the yang, and the ankles store the yin. So we have reservoirs, and the whole point of Qigong is to collect and store Qi. And in Chinese mindset, we call it cultivation. So we cultivate the Qi, and then we store the Qi for later use. Now, at the end of the day, and you're tired, how does your breathing sound when you're tired? So you're short of breath, and when you feel that you're short of breath, then you know that you're tired, and you know that you need to lie down. And then other people say, hey, you're tired. I see you yawning. I see you're gasping for air. So what if I could teach you what happens at night that you could do in the daytime? So what if I could teach you in the daytime how to slow your heart, how to slow your respiration, how to elongate your spine, how to relax your muscles? What if I could teach you how to slow your nervous system? What if I could teach you how to slow your brain waves down? Okay, so that is the issue. So eat and think, breathe and drink, move and sleep, dance and heal. Okay, so now we're going to open it up for questions. Anybody who wants to ask Dr. Love a question, now's the time. So I want to do a shout out to Rasheem Northington, who is writing a book on the diaphragm. And so he's one of my Qigong students from a few years ago. He lives up in New York. And so I wrote a foreword to his book. I also want to give a shout out to to the 2020 Qigong Summit, where I'm going to be a featured speaker at that summit. That's going to be in September. I'm also going to be a speaker at Humanity Harmonics, and I'll post more information about that. And that's the information that I wanted to present today. And we do have a question.
Yes. Our audience wants to know, for those people who have racing, the brain racing when they're trying to sleep, does meditation help with slowing down the brain?
So the question is, how do you slow down the brain when you're trying to go to sleep? So the brain racing comes from two things. One is called unresolved conflict. The other is called future fear, future worry. Okay. Now, fear and, fear and worry are emotional states. So how do you get out of fear? Well, the easiest way is called the kidney flow. Hand to the ear, hand to the ear. So we do the Qigong exercise for 10 minutes. If it's future fear, if it's worry, future fear, future worry. If it's worry, we do wave away worry for 10 minutes. And that's what we learn in the morning Qigong class. And you can go to loveqigong.com to register for that class. Now, I forgot there's one more of racing thoughts. That's called past anger. I'm angry at something that happened in the past, and I can't get over it. So that's the unresolved conflict. So unresolved conflict is past anger, future fear, future worry. Those are the things that cause the racing thoughts that don't allow us to go to sleep. So then we do the liver dance. So any one of those. So if it's unresolved conflict, past anger, do the liver dance for 10 minutes. If it's future fear, do the kidney flow for 10 minutes. And if it's future worry, I'm worried about something that's going to be in the future. We're all worried about the economy. We're all worried about the masks. We're all worried about our grannies and grandpas, and we're worried about the babies and the children in the school. And I mean, there's a lot of things to worry about. So if you can't go to sleep because you're worried about the future, do wave away worries for 10 minutes. So you have to go to loveqigong.com to watch the class. And the benefit of registering with loveqigong.com is the archive of the past shows. Now, in the hour that I teach the class, about 40 minutes of the class is just exercise, but 20 minutes is me teaching, and I drop pearls of wisdom. And I don't know what I'm going to say before I actually say it. Sometimes I talk through the exercise. Sometimes I stop the music and just talk. So you're the beneficiary of that. So you've got to go to loveqigong.com and register, and then you can have access to that all the time.
Okay, so David McNeil from Facebook says, how do you know what energy center needs help?
That's an excellent question. So now, what are the energy centers? So there's the Jing field, which is hormones, and hormones are made from the digestive system and the reproductive system. The Qi field is the circulatory and the respiration, and the Shen field is the neuroendocrine and the musculoskeletal. So when you ask me which energy center, you have to know where the problem lies. Okay? Is it animal? Is it human? Or is it divine? Now, the neck is the connection between the human and the divine. So if you have neck pain, either it's a human issue or it's a divine issue. Probably not divinity if you have a pain. It's probably a heart emotional issue if you have neck pain. If you have back pain, it's somewhere between the animal and the human. So if it's low back pain, it could be emotional, could be physical. Okay. So how do you know? You have to do a test. You have to do an energy test. And the way we do that energy test is called an emotional enema. Now, how do we do the emotional enema? We literally press in where the liver is. We literally press in where the spleen is. We literally pound the kidneys. We literally tap the lungs. We literally tap the heart. We literally poke the pancreas. So you actually have to touch your body to find out where the pain and discomfort is. And that's how you find out which energy center is involved.
The same person is asking, what about upper back and neck?
Upper back and neck is heart emotional issues. So we have past anger, past emotional, and then we have current emotional. If it's on the left side, it's the past. If it's on the right side, it's the current. So you've got to look at what's going on currently in your life. Who's the pain in your neck?
And can we get your take on siestas, midday naps?
Oh, napping.
For reset purposes?
For reset purposes, okay. So the heart energy is highest between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. The small intestines is highest between 1 and 3, and that's when we're digesting our food. The bladder energy is highest between 3 and 5, and the bladder energy goes through the entire bag, and the kidney energy is highest between 5 and 7. So the British created something called tea time, and tea time was typically at 4:30 to 5, 4:30, 4:45, 5 p.m., where you prepare the tea. And you're supposed to be relaxed between 5 and 7. So your siesta time should be between 3 and 5. Now, there was a time when 80% of the population lived in rural areas, which meant they had hard physical labor. So, of course, the manager, the plantation manager, the farm manager, he still did hard physical labor, but not like the actual laborers. We're not going to give them names, but you know who I'm talking about. So those laborers didn't get a chance to take a nap. Now, here's an interesting juxtaposition. Muhammad Ali in 10 rounds of boxing burned less calories than Bobby Fischer in a 2-hour chess match. Bobby Fischer burned more calories in a 2-hour chess match than Muhammad Ali burned in a half-hour, in 10 rounds of boxing. 10 rounds of boxing, that's really hard physical labor. So your brain actually burns more calories. Your brain actually uses more protein than your body. So that's why it's key to take a 30-minute nap between 1 and 3 or 3 to 5. Somewhere in that 4-hour time period, you need a 30-minute nap. Now, children need naps because they run so high. Children are high energy. 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings, not so much. By the time you hit 50, you need a nap. And when I was 55, 56, 57, I was taking naps. Now I'm way past 55. And I just started taking naps again. So for 10, 15 years, I didn't take naps. And I was super productive. Now I'm taking naps. I'm even more productive. It's amazing how much more productive. And I do more in 4 hours than most people do in 10 hours. And I'm not bragging. I'm just stating facts. Next question.
I don't know if you want to answer this question because it's a little bit off topic. We have Assassin X Legacy, which always asks questions. Thank you very much. Wants to know, what do you think about mercury cavity fillings?
Wow. Okay. The answer is no. Not good. Get them taken out. The problem is the person who takes them out has to really know what they're doing. Because I've heard a lot of horror stories recently about people who had their mercury fillings taken out and they actually got worse. So you can't just go to anybody to take your mercury fillings out. You have to go to not just a mercury-free dentist, but a holistic dentist with at least 10 years experience, and you want to get testimonials from his patients that they know what they're doing and that they had a positive experience. You're not going to receive the same treatment from everyone. And that's something that's the homework you got to do on your own. Okay. So, next question.
Dr. Love, we know about your sleepitation.
Oh, I didn't talk about my sleepitation program.
Being something that can actually affect the brain.
I didn't even talk about it. Silly me. I actually have a weekend course called Sleepitation. Now, that requires you to actually be here for me to do the induction ceremony, and which I'm going to give you herbs. I'm going to take you through a guided meditation. Now, what if you can't get to me? Because I live in Florida, I should be easy to get to. But if you want to do the course online, it's actually 3 weeks. So there's 2 sessions per week for 3 weeks. So it's 6 online sessions for me to teach you the sleepitation. So what's involved is journaling. You're going to learn 12 affirmations, and then we're going to learn visualization, and we're going to learn chanting and toning. It's a lot of information. So this came up because people who did hard physical labor, they didn't have time to go meditate for 20, 30 minutes twice a day because survival is an issue. So the only time they could meditate was at night when they laid down. So a lot of Tibetan Qigong was originally yoga. Yoga is Qigong, Qigong is yoga. The information just got cut off through the Silk Road because different political powers cut off the flow of information from India to China to Tibet to Afghanistan. So at different points of time, there was a disruption of the information flow, and then people had to figure stuff out on their own. And that's why we have differences between India, China, Afghanistan, and Tibet. But the origin of all of those is the same. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was ancient Egypt. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so David on Facebook also has another question. He said, if you have pain, should you touch or rub it or use energy and mind to feel and heal it?
Okay, so the answer is yes, but there's a caveat. If the pain comes from an actual injury, then the answer is no. You have to go to someone else. But if there's no discernible source of an injury, then yes, you can actually do this. Now, there's 4 layers deep. So there's the skin layer, there's the fascia layer, there's the energetic layer, and then there's the bone layer. So there's 4 layers. So as we do this, there's a shock wave that penetrates all the way down to the bone layer. Then we're going to do that twice a day, morning and evening, for about a week.
Tapping.
Then this is body drumming. Then we're going to go tapping. Okay. Then hand me that brush in the bag, please. Then we're gonna do a lighter tap, and then we're gonna do the brush. Okay, and then hand me that other brush that's over there. And then we have another brush. Now, this would actually be on your skin. Okay, I don't know if you can see the brush. Okay, and then we would literally brush the skin. So the first one, we go all the way to the bone layer. Then the tapping goes to the energy layer. Then this goes to the fascia layer. And then the last one goes to the skin layer. Okay? So that's how you would treat pain yourself. Now, of course, I sell all these objects, and then I teach courses on how you can do this. So I teach you the anatomy and physiology of the joints, the muscles, and the bones, and obviously the meridians, and which direction the energy flows in. And then I teach you the whole self-healing process. So you can go to the numerals 21, Days to Wellness, that's with an S.com. That's going to bring you to a page. You're going to sign up for the newsletter, and then the newsletter will remind you when these courses are. So I can only encourage you to subscribe to this webcast, this webcast, and then you'll get a newsletter reminder of all the things that are going on. So those are your options if you want to continue to find out this information. And there we have it. So loveqigong.com to register for the daily class, 21 Days to Wellness, if you just want to find out the information, what's going on. And then you got to stay tuned for my speaking engagement at the 2020 Qigong Summit, and Humanity Harmonics is coming up July 24th through 27th. Question?
Can you direct them to the Facebook group where they can see the Freebie Friday replay?
Okay. Thank you for reminding me, Katniss. So if you're on Facebook, you can go to Blue Dragon Qigong Academy Facebook group. And in that group, you'll find the connection to Love Qigong, and you'll meet some other members. And then you can ask questions. You can create a dialogue about other stuff that's going on with the Blue Dragon team. It's the Blue Dragon Tribe, the Blue Dragon Academy. So that's basically it. The Blue Dragon, we will direct you to wherever you need to go. So if you want the brush, if you want the bamboo brush, if you want the chi brush that we did last week, last episode. So we got a lot of stuff going on, and thank you.
So you said 21 days?
Days plural to wellness.com. That gets you the newsletter, and the newsletter will give you the reminder of what's going on. So we've got music. I just keep forgetting to add the music bed. It's my own music. We've got a great team of people helping us out. So join the Blue Dragon Qigong Academy and go to loveqigong.com and you can find out more. So every Friday, the 5 transformations: eat and think, breathe and drink, move and sleep, dance and heal. So until next Friday, your health is in your hands. Prevention is the only cure. And if you want to be well, you've got to Qigong well. I'm Dr. George Love for the Blue Dragon Qigong Academy. And you've been listening to Dr. Love Dials It In for You. Until next week. you sure you want to end?
Okay, you're clear.
Now, I said, Siri, do not disturb, and 2 more calls came in. How did that happen?
I don't know, but this Qigong could. Hold on. Are you sure you want to end the stream?